Hello and welcome to another episode of InstaBlinks. This is episode 29. Today we are going to talk about ClickHouse. My name is Brian Graf, and today we have the ClickHouse product manager at NetApp Instaclustr, Varun Ghai, with us to talk with me about ClickHouse. Varun, how are you doing?
Yeah, great, man. Thanks for having me on the series.
Yeah, of course. So, with ClickHouse today, I really kind of want to focus on two major things. The first is what is ClickHouse, and then talk a little bit about NetApp Instaclustr and what we do with ClickHouse. So, for those maybe that aren't familiar with what ClickHouse is, maybe you can give us a quick rundown on what is ClickHouse and what makes that technology unique.
Yeah, sure. So ClickHouse is one of the database management systems out there. I'm sure people have heard about them, especially in the tech space. The thing that is unique about ClickHouse is it works on a columnar structure. So that allows it quite a lot of advantages and special use cases which traditional database softwares would not. So, in addition to that, it is open source, which means there are cost advantages to people using them. They don't need to get tied into a particular vendor or proprietary software. And then coming back to the point about it being a columnar database, is that it is suited for use cases like fast analytical queries. So latencies are significantly reduced compared to traditional databases. So there are lots of those advantages that come with ClickHouse.
Yeah. So I think probably most people are familiar with row-based databases. And in addition to that, people usually hear the terms OLTP and OLAP, OLTP being online transaction processing, and OLAP being online analytical processing. ClickHouse is an OLAP database. So where does this fit in with other types of databases? And as we talk about ClickHouse, are people should people be thinking about migrating all of their current databases to ClickHouse or no?
Oh, good question. So this is actually one of the ones we often get when we're talking to new customers, primarily because ClickHouse is quite a new technology in terms when you compare it to other database DBMSs out there. So the thing with OLTP versus OLAP, so those texts have been around for both have been around for a while. Um, so when you're talking about OLTP, think in terms of databases like Cassandra. What you're trying to do is store data frequently as well as read it frequently. Um, OLAP is different. The idea is that you are storing huge chunks of data at a time, but then your reads are what is more important to you in terms of performance and latency. So your reads need to run over huge amounts of data sets. You're not in the OLTP world, you would be reading individual rows, and that's possibly what matters to you, or in small batches. Whereas in OLAP, you're trying to reach huge chunks of data out, but based on aggregations across multiple data sets within that uh, amount with that database. Yeah,
So in simple terms, then OLTP is for running business transactions, and OLAP is for understanding the business through the analytics side, correct?
exactly. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. So then why would people look to use ClickHouse as opposed to other types of databases out there? You touched on it briefly, but I kind of want to dig in a little bit deeper there on the analytical side.
Yeah, sure. So the good thing about, as I was mentioning, OLAP or ClickHouse is it's very good at doing queries over large data sets in a very short amount of time. So it gives you exceptional performance when you're talking about big data analytics. Um, and that's the sort of thing that would make sense for a lot of different industries, right? So if you have companies in finance, for example, they've got huge amounts of compliance needs. They're storing data for significant periods of time, 5, 10 years, and they need to be able to run queries and look at that data in a very short period of time. So that makes a lot of sense for them. Examples like fraud detection. Coming to other industries, you've got IT. There's a lot of different use cases. We do it all the time um, within our own company at NetApp. There is things like metrics uh, collection. So other industries would be e-commerce. You get the big companies would want to do so. E-commerce, very often they've got lots of customer data, tracking orders, processing requests, and they want to be able to look at customer behavior changing over time, trying to react to that. And that would be same with media platform technologies as well. So I think there are use cases published online about streaming services trying to react to customer preferences based upon the data they have.
Yeah. And I think one of the key pieces of all this too, that we'll get into here in just a second, though, is that it's open source, right?
Yes.
Which allows you to take something that's not tied to a proprietary system, for example, run a self-managed version or a self-hosted or a managed version, and you can get the same thing out of both, correct?
Yes, yes, that's exactly correct. So that's one of the big plus points of ClickHouse. You've got it's Apache 2 licensed, so you've got a entire community around the project. It started out a few years ago, and that community is really pulled together. There are lots of large organize, organizations as well, including ours, which are contributing towards this as well as using it, and that makes for a very good mix of interested parties pushing the project along in a direction which makes sense for the community at large.
Yeah. So if it's open source, an individual can go to and download ClickHouse and run it on their own laptop. They can run it in the cloud, right? But also NetApp Instaclustr does a managed ClickHouse as well. So can you tell us a little bit about um, NetApp Instaclustr's ClickHouse version and what some of the key benefits are to running it with Instaclustr versus doing a self-managed, for example?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So um, when it comes to self-managed, you you need to understand it, and that's not just for ClickHouse. You, regardless of the technology you're working with, whether it's Cassandra, OpenSearch, whatever, you need to have enough technical expertise to be able to use the app or the software properly. That is not always easy to do, especially if you don't if your main business isn't IT. Uh, so if you're in an industry which is tangential to that, you might very well reach the point where you think that that level of expertise isn't something you need to be doing, or it's just not something you want to be involved in because you would rather have someone else who has that expertise doing it for you. So I think that's the sort of decision one always would need to make when it comes to self-managed versus going for a managed service provider. Um, when it comes specifically to us as a managed service provider, NetApp Instaclustr, we bring with us quite a few advantages to customers. I won't talk about all the other managed service providers. There are others in the marketplace, and customers are free to look around. But when it comes to NetApp Instaclustr, we've got a multi-tech platform. So we've got lots of other technologies. ClickHouse is one of the many we offer, no less than any others that we offer, but it's one of a larger piece. So we've got Cassandra, Kafka, OpenSearch, Postgres, Redis, Valkey, Cadence. So there's a lot of them, and what what that means for a potential customer is that they can come to us, and if they're using any of these other techs, or if they have use cases which make sense with these other techs, they can get a one-stop shop for all their needs. We can help them work out those integrations. We've got a consulting team which can dive into customer specific use cases. And then of course we've got the standard product and support teams to help out with the product and the normal support.
If I were to go to instacluster.com and click on and log in, and select ClickHouse, where can I deploy ClickHouse? What clouds are offered currently?
Um, uh, good point. So we've currently got the ability to deploy on AWS as well as Azure cloud platforms, and we are actively working on getting GCP support included as well. Aside for these, we also have options for on-prem setups. So, and that's again across the board. That's the sort of spread we try to have across any of the techs that we offer.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that we should point out too is when you come to NetApp Instaclustr and you go to deploy, you can choose whether to deploy this into an Instaclustr managed account or into your own account, right? You can have
Yes,
these workloads. If you're running, for example, a bunch of other services on AWS, you can actually have this be deployed into a new VPC within your own AWS account. So
correct.
simplicity there, benefits of any sort of discounts that the customer may have with a hyperscaler. We do support all that too.
Yes, yes, absolutely, and exactly as you said. Again, true for all our techs.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Um, I think the last area that I want to talk about here is actually around some common misconceptions that you encounter around ClickHouse. As the product manager, I know you talk with some of our current customers, talk with other potential customers. Are there any sort of misconceptions that come up around ClickHouse that are good to maybe share here and kind of clear the air on what those are?
Yeah, sure. Um, so I'm just trying to go through it in my head. I had actually a small list. So yeah, so one of the ones that I have come across or that our team has heard about is once you start having these initial discussions, customers might start to think that this is a technology which only makes sense if you've got huge amounts of data. So if you've got big data. Um, but one thing to be clear on is it's not just for big data. It is also, it makes sense for even use cases where big data is not involved. So you can have smaller amounts of data and ClickHouse might still make sense for you. So if that's something that you want to qualify, now of course it's very hard to say what is big data and what is small data. There's no blanket answer for that. So if you're a customer who, or if you're an organization who thinks that this might make sense for you, please come and talk to us. We've got a wonderful pre-sales team, sales team. They can talk you through the process, and we can get involved, work out a POC or a free trial, whatever works for you, and try things out. There are a couple of others. Another one, when customers go and read up online about ClickHouse, one of the phrases they hear often is that it's very good for real-time analytics. And then again, that can lead to the perception, oh, if I'm not doing real-time analytics, then maybe ClickHouse isn't for me. So again, the other side of the coin is it's not just for real-time analytics. There are cases, for example, historical data analysis, which can be done quite well with ClickHouse as well. So you don't need to necessarily limit yourself to that one use case, which it is very good at.
I think that's probably good. I think the biggest thing that I want to share for people is if you are just starting into like going the route of ClickHouse, if you found this video because you were searching what ClickHouse is and you want to give it a shot, you can actually do a free trial at NetApp Instaclustr. If you go to instaclustr.com, you actually can sign up for a free trial without a credit card, and you can just go and spin this up. It takes about 5 or 6 minutes, I would say, for the cluster to be ready, and you can give it a shot. And at that point, all you have to do is, bring in the data and start to use it. You don't need to worry about any of the operational side. So whereas setting this up on your laptop or somewhere else that's not managed may take you a little bit longer, give us a shot. Come and try ClickHouse. I think that kind of wraps up our time, Varun. So thank you so much for joining us. And everyone that's still here watching, thank you for joining us. Give the free trial a shot, and we'll see you in the next episode of InstaBlinks. Thanks.
Thank you.